Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? Getting ready for the Super Bowl. Looking forward to that. And how's everybody today? Looking forward to everything else. We can talk economy. We can talk investments, baseball cards. We had a big sports card conversation in my last video. Usually if there's other questions coming on, I'll stay longer because I'm really here to teach. So that's the goal of this, also to talk about the analysis. So if we look at today's game, I'm seeing the line go to 4.5 Rams, 48.5, and a 49 on the over under. As we have said before, or I have said, this is an even game. I like the dog, and I like the over with Stafford and Burrow. So when you have good quarterbacks, you go over. When you have like Garoppolo or Fields, you're more or less going under in the game. But when you have good quarterbacks, Stafford and Burrow, you expect them to move and score. Let's look at some of the matchups. Are we worried about Donald and Von Miller rushing Burrow? And I mean, I think he knows what to do and how to get away from them. You can run on them. You can certainly run at Von Miller because he's got speed. And as far as Aaron Donald, the Niners ran right through him. So I think you tire him out a little bit, but I compare him to Tennessee's defense, where they had 3 really good defensive linemen. They had, 6-7 sacks on Burrow, and he seemed to not have an issue. He went through it pretty easily. He did get sacked, but by the way, they did win the game. So, you run like right at Von Miller, or you don't run right at Aaron Donald, but you run away and you trap them and run a little outside, little screens, little draws, things that let them rush, and let's tire them out. That's why teams try to run the ball early. Or what Bill Walsh did with Montana was he would have short passes. So these would be the little 5-yard passes, which are basically runs, but it would tire out the defense. And that's really what you're trying to do. They're all hyped up in the beginning, so you don't really run right at them. You try to throw it dink and donk, very quick passes. And that's what I think you'll see here. I'm not sure what kind of audience I'll have because it's 3:00. The game's in 3 hours, but people tend to go out for Super Bowl. It's a Sunday, so I apologize not getting here earlier, but I had a couple of errands to do, and I went to work out, so figured I'd be home for now. So anyway. That's the take of it. I think the game goes, like I said, 24-20, maybe a little bit more. The Ram matchup of Donald and Miller will cause a little bit of problems, but I think Cincinnati's had 2 weeks to look at it. And Burrow and Chase and those guys have had enough time to figure out what we're going to do. Basically, if they got to bring a tight end or another running back or something, I'm sure they'll figure out what to do, but I don't think it'll be anything more difficult than Tennessee. So I think I really like the Cincinnati as the dog because I don't think the Rams are that strong. They barely beat the Niners at home, so I don't think they're that strong that oh my God, this is like the greatest team ever, and they're going to blow out Cincinnati. And I don't think Cincinnati's that weak. I think people think they're weak, but they did beat at Tennessee and at Kansas City. And I think you have to look at those games just to really get a feel for how they're going to do in a pressure game and a playoff game. Will they win? I don't know, but I think they have a good chance. Again, Stafford has been known to choke in many a big game in Detroit, and he's still a choker. So I don't see him. He choked against Tampa with the big lead, and then he choked against the Niners and got lucky with the interception drop. So he tried choking away those 2 games, and we'll see what happens. But that's what again, we're trying to pick the game before, not when the game's over. We can easily say, well, yeah, that's what, I knew they were going to do that. I knew it was going to be high scoring or low scoring. Again, how did we bet Georgia, Alabama? We bet defense. We took Georgia's defense, and that's what you tend to do. So I'm looking at the defense, and it's basically even. They both give up 22 a game. You don't have a 15. You don't have a Georgia 9-point defense. You basically got a 22 defense. They can certainly move on them, and I think they will. And I think I'm more impressed Cincinnati stopped Mahomes on the offense than, and they did Tennessee's defense. So I'm very impressed with what Cincinnati has done so far. It's just funny. I see today that with the offensive coordinator on Kansas City's, like, they're not renewing his contract. I always have a problem with that, because how much credit do you want to give to the offensive coordinator versus giving to Mahomes? Like, okay, you've got Mahomes, so you're going to look a lot better than you really are. And hence, if you didn't have Mahomes and you had Garoppolo, are you a bad offensive coordinator because you got Garoppolo? I think you've got to look at like, how good is the coach at Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers? Is it Aaron Rodgers or is it the coach? And let's see what the coach does without Aaron Rodgers. So I think with Belichick, I've always done that. I said, you won because of Brady, because Brady refused to lose at the end. You were losing a lot of games at the end, and Brady, look at the Seattle game. Brady took him down and won. Look at the Atlanta game. If you didn't have Brady, I don't care who Belichick has, he's not going to win those games. That's what makes it. So it's really hard. I'm looking at some of these coaching hires, and I'm just like, you got to be kidding. Who is this guy? I don't think they know how to hire a coach in the NFL, which is why you see 6, 7, 8 openings every year for the last 5 years. I think there's been 7 or 8 different, new coaches coming on. I color them, right? And yellow is 2017, and orange is 2018, and green's 2019. And every year there's like 7, 8 different coaches. Arizona, you had the guy come and go. Detroit, the guy's there for 2 years and he leaves. So not only are they don't know how to choose a coach, they don't know how to choose a general manager, and then they really don't they give them like 2 years. What are they expecting? And then there's injuries, but they don't. I was watching some old Super Bowls, and Washington won with Doug Williams, and they won with Mark Rippon, and the Giants won with Hostetler. And even when they won with Sims, it's like those guys sucked. And so really, you can't use the injuries, the excuse that a lot of teams do, but you've got to win despite it. And I see a lot of teams, as soon as the guy gets injured, they're all like New Orleans this year. I mean, they played decently, but as soon as and even if they think they're going to win with the Florida State guy, that's just not going to happen. Or Winston, they're not going to win with Winston. So that he thinks he's a good quarterback, but now we know he's not a good quarterback. And what are you not going to draft a quarterback when you see a good one in the 4th round, let's say, where you could get you get my guy that doesn't do much, Jake Fromm. You could certainly get a Jake Fromm or type in the 4th or 5th round and go from there. And that's what I think. I think that's the mistake these coaches and these teams make. They draft a quarterback. They have they realize he's not good. Like Sam Darnold, you knew he's terrible. Zach Wilson, I think, will be okay. But there's some quarterbacks that are terrible, and they just keep playing them. I don't know about Kyler Murray. I don't know about, he looked terrible against the Rams, and he plays them twice a year. Why was he so surprised? Garoppolo, what is he doing around? So now, because he has some experience, the teams don't want him, but he's terrible. He's not going to win for you. So that's what you got to do is, do I want the guy to win or not? And that's where most organizations have the problem is they don't get that. Well, he's serviceable, like the Lions with Jared Goff. I mean, you're not going to win with Jared Goff. He did nothing in the Super Bowl against the Rams. What do you think Tom Brady would have done if he was on the? Well, let's look at I don't know, Mahomes. If he was on the Rams against New England in that one Super Bowl, you think he'd only got 3 points? Well, he didn't do much. I shouldn't say that. He didn't do much in last year's Super Bowl against Tampa, but that's really what you're looking at is what do they have? So that's what you're looking at. But the problem is the coaching choices are terrible. The GMs don't know how to look at players. Now I'm looking at Pittsburgh, and they want to look at Malik Lewis from Liberty. Now, that guy's not a good quarterback. I'm sorry. But, he's an athlete. Well, I don't want an athlete for a quarterback. I want a quarterback for a quarterback. And there's the guy who I love at Coastal Carolina, McCall, who's 100 times better than him. So what are you looking at Malik Lewis from Liberty for? What he doesn't win. He didn't win at Liberty. He's not going to go to the Steelers. And I want somebody who can throw the ball to my receivers, not a guy who can't throw, but he can run a little bit. What is that? Look at Lamar Jackson. What does he do? He doesn't win. That type of quarterback doesn't win. You want a Mahomes and things like that. So get McCall. Get the guy from Fresno State. Get the guy from Nevada who, although he sat out the bowl. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are good in college, but they won't go after them because they're not from Alabama. I mean, they all think these Alabama quarterbacks are great, but again, it's not the same system they're going to run in the pros as they do at Alabama. So it's just they don't know how to pick. They don't know what they're looking for. It's somebody will say this is a good quarterback, he's an athlete, and they go after him. And this is why you get 7, 8 new coaches every year because they don't know what they're doing. The coaches don't know what they're doing. They all run the same offense. No, you want to win. You go defense first. If I was a new coach, I would be taking that defensive lineman from Georgia in the first pick. And then I would take one of the linebackers from Georgia with my next pick. And then I would take a cornerback from Georgia with my third pick, and I'd be pretty much, okay, my defense is all set. And what happened, how did the Niners win in 1981? Well, their draft was Ronnie Lott and Carlton Williamson, and their whole secondary they drafted, and Ronnie Lott's superstar, and Williamson and a couple of the others were just high draft picks that were really good, that were Pro Bowlers. So that's how you do it. And he had Montana, and he won with Bill Ring at running back and Dwight Clark, wide receiver, who was okay. He was but that's my point on wide receivers. He was adequate. He could catch the ball, and he could jump up for the catch. And that's basically what you have. So you have that. You have that going for you. So basically, that's my point. It's the receivers aren't that hard, but that's how I would do it. And then I'd run the ball. I don't care what the rules are. The team that wins is the team that has running, that can run, that can get first downs, that can get the ball in the red zone. Okay, so let's go back. I'm watching the first 2 Super Bowls, and the Packers run it down their throats and win the game easily. The next Super Bowl, what happened? Super Bowl III, Baltimore gets the ball 10 times inside the 20-yard line. And what do? 9 of the 10 times they throw a ball, and most of them are intercepted. And then the one touchdown they get is when Unitas is in the game, and they run it in, right? Nottingham, or if they would have done that in the first half, if they would have run the ball in, Baltimore would have beat the Jets handily because they had them. They kept getting the turnovers. And that's my point. Even what did Namath do? Namath ran the ball down their throats. He didn't beat them passing. He beat them running the ball. And that's really what you have to do to win. To win, you need a running game. You've got to rest your defense. You've got to score in the red zone, and because there's no room in the red zone. I'm tired of this. Or it's a miracle catch, like Roethlisberger against Arizona, or so it's always a miracle if you get a catch there, or maybe a screen pass or something. But you've got to run the ball in, but not right at them. You got to run like off tackle. That little slant off tackle always works. But if you can't, I love when they run right at them, and there's 10 guys right there, and you're running into a wall. You're not going to get anything. So you need to use some speed a little bit, but power. That's how you score in the red. But you need to score touchdowns in the red zones. You certainly can't pass and turn it over. So that was the Baltimore Jets Super Bowl. If Baltimore runs instead of trying to throw the ball with Earl Morrall, who sucked, he was the biggest choker in the world. If you would have just ran the ball, or he tried forcing it. That's why everybody thinks that game was fixed. Those interceptions were so obvious that they were thrown on purpose. That Shula didn't play Unitas. He was ready to go, but he didn't play him. So that's where the fix comes in. Is Shula didn't play Unitas, and Morrall's on the fix, and he's throwing interceptions at the 5-yard line that were so poorly thrown. And then the flea flicker at the end of the half. But the intended receiver is wide open by 30 yards, and he does it down. So they could make the AFC look good. So there'd be better TV contracts and more money for everybody. And that's why they laid down. But when you look at the better Super Bowls, the teams that can run, and this is anything, win everywhere. And then the teams, and then the power defenses, the Lawrence Taylors, the Bears, the 85 Bears. Nobody was going to beat that team. Forget it. I mean, Montana was not going to beat them. I think they played in the playoffs. I'm not sure if they did or not. But no, I think they played the Giants in the win punt, and then the Rams, and they shut out Eric Dickerson. I don't think they played the Niners. But Montana wasn't going to beat them. Lawrence Taylor couldn't beat them. That team was not going to lose. And they had Peyton, and they ran in defense. And if you have that, you will always win. And that's how you got to draft. And a Malik Lewis on Liberty. What are you thinking, man? You need a good quarterback, so they don't know what you're going to do. You've got to keep the defense guessing. That's why you need balance. Are they going to throw? Are they going to run? Even the short passes are good. But that's how you build. You take the defense first, then you get some running, and you can get some good running backs in the first round, and the second round, and the third. I hate these guys that say, "Oh, don't waste your first round pick on a running back." And then the guy gets injured. He's like, "Oh, see, I told you." Well, yeah. Look at these linemen; they really do a difference when you draft an offensive lineman in the first round. Oh yeah, we're on our way to winning a Super Bowl with that. You don't need that. You get the linemen in the third, fourth, fifth round from Ohio State, Notre Dame, LSU, Wisconsin. That's when you pick up your linemen. It doesn't cost, because you can't get the stud receivers, the stud running backs, and the stud quarterbacks. But you don't waste your picks with a quarterback who's not a very good quarterback. Like Malik, if the Pittsburgh Steelers draft this guy first, they'll have like the 15th pick or something. And they draft this guy in the first round, they're out of their minds. This guy is not a first-round quarterback. He's not a fifth-round quarterback. I would never draft him. He's not a good quarterback, and that's really the point. So if the guy deserves, like Joe Burrow deserves and should be the first quarterback, but some of these guys, just no way. I mean, I don't know, Lamar Jackson, I would never have drafted him. He's not a good quarterback. He's a good running back, and he's fast. I give you that, but not a quarterback. And that's why Baltimore, they got to pack it in and get a new quarterback, because they're not winning with this guy. One thing to note today, I have this gut feeling that Cincinnati's going to blow them out, because it's going to be like the Baltimore game where they beat them like 41-17 in Baltimore. And I just think they've been playing these close games and winning, and they're just going to let it all out, and Stafford's going to give them a few pick sixes, and they're going to just keep pounding and getting the turnovers, and I think they're going to I think they could blow them out. I just have that hunch. But I got Cincinnati anyway in the 10.5. But I just have a hunch they might do the blowing out, not the Rams, because I just think that's what they did against Baltimore. And it reminds me a lot of Joe Montana's when they went to the Super Bowl. They had a game with Dallas, and they beat them like 59-14. Then they beat them in the championship game. And then when they get to the Super Bowl, they beat Dallas twice. Cincinnati was not a problem. So that's what I see here. They beat Baltimore. Cincinnati beat Baltimore twice. Now they beat KC twice. And I'm going, okay, really? The Rams are going to beat them? Like, I don't know. I just don't see it. I just don't think Cincinnati is getting the credit due. So that's my football. I spent a lot of time talking old cards with a gentleman. I don't know if I don't think he's a customer, but welcome to the show. He's part of the Teaserking family. And we're talking like popular players, and be it good. All I can say is with the inflation, get real assets. So you want to get gold and silver. Really not into that. Go get your Tom Brady cards. Go get your old Mantle cards. We were also talking about, and it was a long video, so I'm going to recap a little about, well, maybe I should get a 1955 Mantle, but a PSA 5. And I said, I wouldn't recommend getting less than an 8, just because, like, he thinks that, okay, the 10s are getting, as are the 9s, but eventually the 6s and the 5s will go up. And my response is, not if there's 9s and 10s out there. They will always keep the value. It's only the Trish Speaker 1906, the limited one. It's like a PSA 2 that's worth millions of dollars. And that's my point. But if there was a 9 or a 10 out there, it doesn't necessarily catch up to the value. So that was one lesson that I was trying to say. You pay less. Like, you can get a 1965 Mickey Mantle PSA 2 and probably pay $500-$600 for it. Then you can spend $500 and say, I got a Mantle card. You can do that. It depends on your point of view, but don't expect that card to go up to $10,000. That's not going to happen. But if you want to get an 8 or a 9, you should make money on that. What else? All this gold and silver. I was doing a study yesterday on gold, and I was looking. There's like 200,000 tons in the world, and I looked at the central banks, and I think I did it right, and it was only like 50,000 tons when I added up the countries. Like the U.S. supposedly has 8 million or 8 million or 800,000 tons, which I didn't believe, or maybe it was 8,000 tons. But I didn't believe it. I don't think the U.S. has any. And China and Russia were like at 3, which I thought they'd be more. But they're really, so what I was trying to do is see, is all the gold done in central banks? But it's hard to say because, like, I own gold, but it's not going to be, I was just looking at central bank gold, not gold in my hands and gold in the richer people's hands. Hard to say. I can only say what the central banks had. So in other words, once we get to the end, there's no more gold to buy because everybody has it. They can't keep the price down because there's nothing left. Who are you keeping the price down for? And keep in mind, when COMEX keeps it down, it's only for a while. Eventually, we'll have to. It's like a dam. You got a leak. Okay, COMEX. You got another leak. It's like Vegas vacation. You got 5 leaks. Eventually, the dam bursts, and that's what's going to happen here. So please be careful. Again, I'm trying to warn people to help them. That's it. That's my incentive. There's nothing else. And that's what's going to happen. So get your gold, get your silver before it's not available. I think we can always go on eBay and get, or go to one of gold price, Google gold, and then there's a dealer who has who's selling gold, but a lot of that I see they're out of it, out of stock. The coin stores I go to tend to run out of gold, but they have the silver, so there's a lot more silver than gold. Keep that in mind, but it should really zoom because it is money, and it is industrial, where it's used to phones and computers and batteries and things like that. So that definitely will hurt it. What else? What else can we talk about? Don't know. Nobody giving me any suggestions, so I'm going to probably leave it like this. Just thought I'd come on, but apparently, people party. It's the Super Bowl, so I'm probably on a little bit too late. But anyway, take the dogs, Cincinnati. Take the over. Definitely go over. Cincinnati's a little like Oakland. They're going to move the ball up and down the field, kick a lot of field goals. Hopefully, they get more touchdowns. The Rams with Stafford, they're going to get more inconsistent. He's going to throw the ball away. There'll be more interceptions by Stafford and fumbles. Burrow doesn't throw too many interceptions. I'm not looking at him to throw pick six days. So in the pressure game, he'll choke. Burrow, when there you go, and then it blacks out and comes back. So now I'm back. Anyway, good luck. Enjoy. Try to understand what's going on in the game. If Burrow wins, I would not run and buy his rookie card tomorrow. It's like now I buy Mahomes cards because he's won. Now the attention's on Burrow. The Mahomes cards are down in value. Based on we think Mahomes will come back in the next few years, it's going to be Mahomes and Burrow. So we start collecting those. The Justin Herbert cards, you got to wait on until he does anything. He didn't make the playoffs this year. He's a good quarterback, but how much are the Marino cards worth versus the Montana cards versus the Elway cards? So you have to win. So if Burrow wins, I would, right now I'd be buying Mahomes cards, and then, watch, and maybe in 6 months you start jumping on the Burrows, or you get some Burrow rookie PSA 10s cheap. Do that. Make sure you buy PSA 10s and not Beckett or ASA or anybody else 10s, unless you're planning on getting them cheap to get them regraded to get them PSA. But again, we hope Burrow wins, and then we'll start buying his card, but you don't buy it right now. Maybe in about 6 months when somebody else is out there, Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, maybe. Of course, Brady, you can still, his are expensive, but there's still cards you can have of him that aren't the first year, that are, 25 count, 50 count that you can get. So anyway, so that's what's going on. Have a great day. Enjoy the game. It's at 2:30, so it's 3:30, so 3 hours. So if you have any questions or comments, www.teaserking.com. Please go there and email me with any questions. I get that a lot. Do you have any questions, whoever joined? It's a short class today, but please ask a question if you have. Again, the pick is Cincinnati and the over, and I might not. I won't be surprised if Cincinnati blows them up. Just a gut feel that I got. Anyway, anything else, let me know. Again, we talked poker tips last time. Again, reaction. You make an action, look for the reaction. You make a bet, look for the reaction. When you're not playing and somebody bets, watch the reactions. Really, all you got to do is watch how people bet to really get how they play. And you want to know if you make a bet against them. So you're always playing different players. So that's why you can't play one way. You've got to play against the player. But if another player comes or another you've got to quickly, is this guy a bluffer? Is this guy a caller? Is this guy going to fold? Is he tight? Is he loose? And you have to. So that's why you watch when you're not in the hand. If somebody else bets, how does this guy do? Does he just fold unless he's got the goods, which is really the case in most hands? People will have. You can bluff a little bit, but you can't bluff too much because eventually I got a full house. You bluff me, and I kill him, and he's betting a lot. Slow play him. Just check to let him do the betting and see what he does. Unless he's a bluffer, then you check, he bluffs. But then when he's got a hand and you check and he checks, then he's got a hand. And then it depends how good your hand is. But whenever I play bluffers, I let them. I see if they're checking or not. If they're checking, then I got to see how strong my hand is. But somebody who makes bets normally doesn't like to be raised because they're trying to be aggressive, and then you come over the top on them. They go, wait a minute. wait a minute. I don't really have that good of a hand. And you go like that. Anyway, okay, I'm going to end it. www.teaserking.com. Cincinnati in 10.5, over 42.5. Score 24-0, 27-21, somewhere mid 20s to low 20s. I think the fourth quarter gets us over, and I think whoever has the ball last wins, unless Cincinnati just blows them out like the Baltimore game. All right, everybody. Well, good luck. I hope you have a good weekend. Stay happy, stay healthy, and enjoy the game. All right. Teaser King checking out. Class is over. Take care, everybody.